Members of the cult operating on the ship have been asking for a meeting. I'm willing to receive them. I will commence preparation at once, Lord Captain. These on decks watch in awe as the final figure moves gracefully into ceremonial pose. Some of the officers whisper in excitement, while others murmur prayers to the God Emperor.
The Undying Emperor commanded us to spin a web of blood around his children, and we obeyed. We obey still. Domin von Valancius, death has whispered your name. We disown Domin Theodora. We renounce our oath to her.
She pulls out a sinister curved blade, and a similar weapon suddenly appears in the hands of her motionless companions.
And now we give the gift of our blood to you. It is the gift of death. Death has whispered your name. The followers of the tenets of the web swear fealty to their new overlord and offer proof of their devotion. We give you a blade, the silent verdict. The Undying One has chosen you to wield this instrument of death. We give you one of our own, Kibella. She will be your shield and shadow. And we give you the blood of these traitors. The tenets of the web will purify their souls.
You have heard many stories about death cults such as this one. These devout, holy assassins of the Imperium have turned death into a form of worship of the Emperor. The exemplary slayers, invisible executioners, and the scourge of traitors, heretics, and fallen souls. Many righteous people honor them as the votaries of the faith, while others see the fearsome rituals as frenzied spectacles touched by madness. Examine the cultists. The cultists are all voidborn. The little sinew bodies are clad in light armor, which allows them to move with acrobatics nimble, graze and strike with an assassin's swift surety. Their red and black vestments are adorned with sharp spikes and ritual jewelry. Where time and training have worn the garments, thereby you can make out patterns of bleeding lacerations. Examine the captives. The prisoners cower beneath the weight of your gaze, blood drips down the tear-stained faces of the captive officers, technomats and workers. A word has been carved into each of their foreheads with meticulous precision: traitor, heretic, apostate, renegade. The book has been diligently and regularly reopened to prevent healing.
These renegades committed treachery against their domin. Their lips once praised the name of Kunrad Voigtveer, but it is your name they will whisper as they cross over to the other side.
Interesting. So the Death Cult watches over my crew. They who honor the Emperor through killing, who devote their every deed to serve him. Sacred executioners.
The Domin has discerned our essence. This is a great honor for the blood-spun web. We have woven the bays of this ship together with the threads of our faith for many years. We keep the greatest relic, his tarot, through which he sends us his blessed revelations. We obey the whispers of the Undying One. This is our service to him. This is our service to you.
How interesting. Devout assassins who believe themselves to be instruments of a higher power. They revel in violence and cannot tell the difference between bloodthirst and piety. They follow their faith blindly, unaware of how closely they tread the corruption and depravity. Look at them. They stand on the edge of a precipice. The smallest push will send them plummeting into the abyss. You could be their downfall. All you have to do is push.
What exactly does your cult do?
The tenets of the web teach us to read the threads of the future and understand the hearts of others. When a soul is filled with the poison of corruption, we know its time has come. We bring liberation. 3 strikes, 3 rebukes, 1 blade. This is how we serve the Undying One. This is how we serve you and your flagship. But there are others, the virtuous martyrs who contravene his design without realizing it. Those who have come too close to faltering or committing an apostasy, but have not erred yet. We present such souls to the Undying One.
Continue to save me, dances of death, but henceforth let my name be upon your lips when you shed blood.
Your name upon our lips.
The cultists make 2 thin cuts along the corners of the mouth, sealing their vows with word and blood. Why have you brought this rubble to the upper decks? Tell me about yourself. Kibela, are you leader of the Bloodspun Web, or its herald, or its servant?
I am the second spinner of the blood-spun web. The honor of this title is bestowed only upon those who have ushered more souls than... It is shameful to speak of one's own deeds. I'm here to become your shadow, not to make boasts.
Why have you brought this rubble to the upper decks?
So you may offer the souls of these traitors as a gift to him. You have the authority to order their execution. Their blood will bind us together through him. For the God Emperor, the Undying One is death itself. The Undying One is duty itself. Give the order, Domin. Let a spinner of the blood-spun web undergo the test of a sacred trial.
The others echo her words. From beneath her bone mask, undergo the test. I will judge the traitors myself.
Then, I will tell you of the treacherous blood that runs through their veins.
These wretched apostates were caught trying to sabotage the reactor. They are guilty of treason. I swear we are not a woman in a tattered protective suit pushes towards in protest, but her movement is halted by the thin cord wrapped around her neck. You notice that all the captives have been similarly restrained. The woman clutches her throat as a thin line of scarlet appears between her fingers. Theft of weapons, sabotage and the deaths of the crew in Bay AL-82. Do you have proof of these charges, or are such claims the results of cultic revelation? There is doubt in Inferno's master's gentle voice. With all due respect, it is difficult to discern the truth of these accusations without evidence. Divine visions and dark coldness may be reasons enough for you to shed blood, but not everyone here shares your perspective. Enough, Henrik. The Lord Captain will decide the truth of these claims for herself. What about those prisoners you killed during the procession? Did you feel entitled to stand in judgment over them? Those scoundrels aided the traitor Vogtvir and were caught carrying weapons. The guilt and sentence were certain. They avoided immediate execution only so that the blood of the wicked could flow in a scarlet trail that led the blood-spotted web to your glorious hall. Kibela, it's true these things were revealed to you through visions. The practice of the sacred divination using the bones and sinews of a martyr led us to the reactor room. This is true, but it is also true that I beheld the act of treachery with my own eyes. What does the accused have to say in the defense? The cords around the prisoner's necks are loosened just enough to let them speak. Have mercy, which is technical tunnel workers who were told to block the ventilation shaft leading into the reactor's room. Fume leakage, supposedly. Would they know we're doing anything wrong? We were just following orders. And as for why we were holding weapons, that was, well, you know. The woman scratches her cheek nervously. She's lying, an injured officer scowled angrily. They smeared blood on themselves and crawled out of the tunnel wailing, "Oh no, the ship's been attacked. There are enemies everywhere. Defend the bay." We rushed off to investigate, and they used the cutters to break into the weapons storage at our guard station. They stole guns and headed straight for the reactor room. Bone and sinew revealed your hubris. You abandoned vigilance for promise for glory. You did not give weapons to the traitors, but you left your post to seek a hero's path. Though you did not act with treason intent, you are compliant nonetheless. These commoners want to enter the reactor room. I should fulfill their wish. Throw the traitors in the steam generators bay. They can boil in there. Mercy, Lord Captain, mercy. What should be done with the rest of the prisoners, Lord Captain? I hereby sentence the guilty officers to be shot. Take them away. The Lord Captain has spoken. Take them away. I could not honor you by ushering the souls of these traitors to the other side. This troubles me, for I wish to save you as the sword serves its master. Will you make me your shield and shadow, Domin Nerox Vox? Your lordship, the spinners of the blood-spun web were watching, tracking and killing von Valencia's enemies long before the warrant of trade passed to Lady Theodora. However, their blade has also been known to cut short the lives of highly upstanding persons. The factotum swallows nervously, casting a fleeting glance at Kibela. But I certainly do not in any way condemn these deeds of the deeply esteemed cult. I'm sure they must have had good reasons. The master at arms clears her throat. The cult are the scourge of the Sidocious. They bring the uprighteous to ruin. The enforcers respect the blood-spun web, for we share a common goal to bring his light and his harsh justice darkest depths of the ship. Scourge of the Sidocious or not, folk are afraid of them for a reason. A couple of watches ago, these spinners took a train driver to pieces for some kind of ritual. I don't know what old Malok did to earn that privilege though. And who's going to feed his family now? Heinrich takes a drag of his echo stick, exhaling the thick smoke through his clenched teeth. But that's a lower deck problem. What matters is that the Bloodspoon web serves you faithfully, Lord Captain. A plump old man in the rich robes and a confessor odds respectively. My predecessor once delivered a sermon about how the spinners saved this vessel from the servants of the archenemy. The Bloodspoon web paid the price in blood, a river of scarlet that flooded the decks from bridge to bile. They became the blood of the flagship, the pulse in its veins and the beat of his heart. The great sacrifice earned them the favour of House von Valancius. It seems that not all of the officers have been presented to me yet. Confessor Abalber, your lordship. As a humble servant of the Emperor, I am entrusted with the high honour of being the ship confessor, or in other words, the highest spiritual authority on your vessel. I am here to oversee the purity of the crew's faith. I officiate in the officer's chapel and also look after the ship's reliquary. Tell me about the spinner's great sacrifice. The vessel was beheaded by famine and pestilence during a long war jump. The flagship wandered uncharted paths of the Immaterium for 20 cycles straight. Servants of archenemy used the despairing parts of the crew to infiltrate the ship, and death followed. The hungry became the hunted, the famished became the feast. The exhausted crew was too weak and emaciated to resist the invaders, but then the spinners emerged from the depths. They stood alone against hundreds of foes, yet they did not falter. They did not sleep or rest as the blade-tipped dance brought death. Though many spinners tell the Bloodspoon web held strong until the flagship left the turmoil of the war. I wish to hear what my retinue thinks. I have heard, though only at a distance, the prayers the spinners offered up to him. I have seen how the deeds filled the people's hearts with confidence in the inevitability of his wrath. The Bloodspoon web loyalty to the Emperor is without question, as if the willingness to lay down their lives in the fight against the archenemy. Although Lady Theodora never granted the cult an audience or brought a spinner into the retinue, she respected the Bloodspoon web and approved of the mission. It is strange, they shadowy forms are swathed in darkness, yet a radiant light burns within them like scarlet flames. I think it is a good sign. It is rare to see anyone filled with such light, even among servants of the faith. You will be my shadow, Kibala. Kibala's movements are slow, almost rhythmic, as she removes her ceremonial mask. The dark shadow of her eyes accentuates the deadly pallor of her skin, which is covered in ritual scars. Henceforth, I am your shadow, Domin Neroth Vox von Valancius, an instrument of death placed in your hand by the undying one. For so it was ordained, so the Histarot forspoke. The young woman bows her head once more. I also come bearing an invitation from the Vizier of the Bloodspoon web. He wishes you to know that the doors of an undying one's temple are open to you. Are you suggesting the Lord Captain should go down into the depths of his flagship to search for his foot's temple? With all due respect, the lower decks are for servants and crew. They are not fitting place for his lordships. Forspoke? What do you mean? What turret? The greatest, most sacred relic of the Bloodspoon web, the Emperor's turret. Only his chosen servants may earn the permission to rain blood upon the cards and perform a reading to see portent of the future, shadows of the past, and tangles of the present. However, the secrets of his turrets are not for the ears of lay people to hear. I cannot tell you more, not here, not now. Who is the Vizier? He is the first among us. The Vizier has spun the web of fate for fivefold longer than I have lived. Blood of the flagship blood, my mentor and teacher. Why is he not here to deliver the message himself? The first spinner is old, his abode is the temple beneath the flagship freight line, and he's not left the lower decks in decades. Even a short journey could surrender the spirit from his ancient body. Where is it located? I'm not permitted to say. If you wish to find the temple, you must walk the path of Saint Erein, the matriarch spider. Her was the thread that would become the blood-spun web. Her paths begin deep within the flagship in the dark tunnels of the freight line, and that is where yours must begin as well. This journey will bring you closer to the thread of the web, closer to the undying one, closer to the understanding death. I will walk the footsteps of the magic spider. Your journey will begin in the darkness of the Death's Tunnel. The Vizier awaits you. The courtiers retreat into the shadow as Kibala sheathes the ceremonial dagger. The blade awaits direction, Dominator Vox. We will speak again when the time is right. Have you heard the name Fiery Reckoning? From what I can tell, it's a voice of some sort. There was a mention of it in one of the Theodora documents I found. Johnny thinks for a moment, pursing his lips in concentration. I'm afraid it's not immediately familiar to me, your lordship. Please allow me a moment. He stares, rapidly tapping the screen of his data slate. I say, House von Valencius did indeed sign a contract with the owners of the vessel with the designated Fire Reckoning. These are transactions recorded the ship picking up cargo from Kiavagama. Well, this is odd. The data log ends there. Apparently the ships had some interaction with one of the workshops on the industrial worlds. I beg your pardon, your lordship, but this is an excellent of the assistance I can provide. Extend the assistance I can provide you regarding a particular matter.
Empyrean guides my gaze.
A poem all rests inside the glass. The inscription into the query reads, I'm wrath, I am the cleansing. Whoever wields me walks in the footsteps of Furia.
Embrace true power. I am not afraid.
Your seneschal is always there for you. Marching on.
How may I serve the dynasty? Say no more. I'm restless.
You are in the presence of House Orselio. How can one find the right way without his light?
I am your shadow.
How fascinating. My ascension has only just begun. I tread a path unexplored.
glance inside the sarcophagus as well as spherical object gold.
Perfection.
Ancient-looking chainsaw without a fuel engine rests on the weapons rack. The shape of the teeth makes you think of the Ulma Universalis, a pattern from an Anglican Crusade era.
The world trembles beneath my feet.
The broad-shouldered young priest makes a sign of Aquila. The Emperor protects your lordship. How may I serve you? How may I be of service? Who are you? Initiate Ziek, your lordship. I'll recite prayers and help Confessor Abaldbert with rites. Where's the relics next to you? The initiate looks over the sarcophagus, the skeleton with its clenching an orb made up from many tightly fitted hoops covered in glyphs. A mysterious object, but undeniably a holy one. It was donated by a group of pilgrims who studied the legacy of the great missionary Nadine Alienikov. They believed there was something inside that only someone truly righteous was meant to have. One of the pilgrims was so desperate to witness the moment of the orb's opening that they bequeathed the body to us. A riddle. Cassia's eyes light up with curiosity. It would be the most interesting to learn what is stored inside. Look, Captain, would you like to try opening the orb? Do you have any idea how to open this orb? One of our predecessors was the last to attempt solving this relic mystery. It happened a long time ago, before Lady Theodora was born. That's all I know. Open the reliquary. I'm going to try to solve the mystery of the orb. The initiate opens the lock and hands you the orb. Someone has already moved the hoops around, trying to arrange the letters into meaningful sentence. It will only take a few more rotations for the orb to spill clearly into 4 parts, each with own question. The answer should presumably be formed using a joining hoop. From the question in the orb first quarter. My light reaches everywhere. The greedy will see me in gold, the scholar in humanity's cradle, but only the righteous will see me within their souls. For better or worse, something clicks inside the orbs. I am within every human, and my loss is feared, for without me comes the end. But give me to the Emperor, and you will be eternal. After soft click comes from the inside the box. I am poison, I am perdition, I am disgrace. Burn me down, eradicate me, or perish rejected by my Emperor. In your body, mind and soul you must possess me. I am no more absence of stains. I bring you closer to him. If I recall the pages of Life and Nadine correctly, this part speaks about purity. The saint's soul is as a quintessence of all the virtues. The orb comes alive. It hoops shifts around with alarming speed, coming together and folding into each other until the orb opens completely, laying its treasure bare. The initiate stares at the relics in your hand stunned. How strange and exciting it is to behold the holy object that has lain hidden from the eye for so many years. Truly is a great day upon which the rogue trader himself has revealed the legacy of great missionaries to us all.
powers unseen uncover my path.
A lank initiate is leaning over the cogitator, an expression of extreme mental effort of his face, his fish-like round eyes peering into the screen. Grant me understanding, master, grant me wisdom. He winces as you approach. Your lordship, how can I be of service? Who are you? What do you do here? I am Clotus, senior cleric. I sought records from the shrine and confessional to pass to the higher ranking clergy. Tell me about this confessional. Our parishioners came here to repent, to share the innermost thoughts and obsessions of their neighbors. The sacred machine records all confessions and alters the voice beyond recognition. Is there one find who made these confessions? There is not. Clotus shake his head resolutely. That would undermine the usefulness of it. The first prototype wasn't anonymous, so those confessionals might as well have been carbon copies of each other. Everyone was impeccably diligent and pious and whatnot, but as soon as the machine's spirit started keeping the name secrets, the parishioners opened up. Good thinking making it anonymous. Keep up the fine work. I will endeavour to do so, your lordship. It appears you have difficulties. Nothing escapes your lordship notice. As it so happens, I am struggling to categorize 3 rather peculiar confessions. I wouldn't have dared to tell you about them, but I think they may have been left by senior officers, which would make this matter of the highest order, one that's far beyond my meager understanding. These confessions, you see, are far from being examples of pious conformity. Are they the very thought of dissent or heresy poisoning the minds of some of the most eminent members of the crew, but I cannot change what I heard. He bows his head in reverence. I cannot share this with anyone but the Emperor's anointed, nor can I allow anyone but you, lordship, to listen to these messages, protected by the secrecy of confession. What makes you think that was made by senior officers? Those parishioners are well spoken, meaning they are used to addressing their audience. Perhaps they issue orders and are vested with power. And well, after categorizing so many confessions, I have learned to notice the subtle differences between them. Let me hear them. The inner should step aside, putting the cogitators to your disposal. First one question has troubled me for years. Why are some destined to perish in a warp while others must go on living and preserve the memory of the dead? Worthier and more luminous souls have been lost, and yet I am still here. Light static is distorting the recording, but you are confident that the speaker is male. The orphans on the ship have already been provided with the bare essentials, but every so often I consider increasing their rations and ordering more sets of clothes for them. That will not replace the families they lost, but it will improve their lives somewhat, especially given that the ship has enough resources to cover that comparably trivial expense. Despite the poor sound quality, you determine the voice to be a male. You do not know who the ship is charge of orphans, if anyone. Last one. Would either can display a high degree of socialization both among their kinds and towards the owners. These animals adjust well to the void lower gravity, since it's similar to their homeworld conditions. Loop and Kelpa met is either should necessarily demand it. The void sounds muffled, as though from behind a thick layer of glass by its mistake. I'm curious who left this confession. I will seek them out. I suppose these confessions truly are special if your lordship is giving them his personal attention, ancient proposed deeply. Would I have imagined the rock trader himself coming to my days? Aquila Anima, a fragment of the Cathedral of Eternal Redemption, brought from the Shrine World of Solis 6 West. Recite the prayer, the ones you remember best.
The world will bow. Ruinous favor prevails.
Among the antique weapons, you spot the maul known as the Ferren Fatum. The legend has it that his head split when it cracked open the skull of the Iothsom demon Brenazan the Flayer. Confessing Adalbert, a plump, rosy-cheeked old man, is light candles, taking his time with each. He's lighting candles, taking the time with each. Glanes of fire dance on his heavy golden aquila and in his sky-blue eyes as he addresses you smiling. The Emperor protects your lordship. Are you here to pray, or have mundane matters brought you to me? There is an incredibly profound quality of his voice as he speaks with mesmerizing timbre. What do you do on my ship? I am the ship's confessor, your lordship. No vessels that abide by the Imperium laws can sail the void without a spiritual guide. Even a smaller-sized ship that does not have the member of the ecclesia on board will trust all matters of faith to a layperson who is staunch adherent to the creed. Our rock trader flagship naturally is expected to have a confessor who comes from the line of his reverend servants. I am such a lone. I am such a one. I am entrusted with caring for the reliquary chapel and the dynastic crypt. I also conduct liturgies, consecrate the ship's base, and strengthen the crew hearts wherever a dark hour is upon us, lest any among them falter in the face of the horrors lurking in the darkness and fail in their duty. Tell me, Abala, do you visit the shrine confessional to repent the other officers too? Why, I always find the time to penance of my mornings and evening shifts, your lordship. The orphans of the ship have already been provided with the bare essential, have they not? Do you mean spiritual nourishment? It is ever in short supply. Those children who are literature could use new paper books and hagiographies for their own perusal and to read to the others. Why are some destined to perish in the warp like the other must go on living? An irrelevant question. His face takes an expression of fathomless wisdom and calm. Our fates are in the Emperor's hands, and he does as his plans require. Tell me about the dynamic crypt. Every rock trader takes care to maintain the appropriate place of repose on board the flagship. The capital may change with the passing of centuries, but the vessel of Emperor's anointed service serves them for millennia. It is more than just symbol of the dynasty authority. It is the source of its power, the Lord Captain's seat in the void, whence they reign over the many lands. The Von Valency script is where rock trader and the most loyal servants are laid to rest. As the ship confessor, I perform the rites of brutal remembrance for the 100 deaths. Adalbert lets out a heavy sigh. It never occurs to this old man that he might have sent Lady Theodora on a final journey, but all is the Emperor's will. I would like to find out more about this place. Albert smiles warmly at you. I could talk about the Reliquary Chapel for hours. This is the only place of worship on the ship. Why no, there are multiple sunk down every deck where your subject pray fervently and the clergy keeps a close watch on the firmness of the faith. This, on the other hand, he gestures around the glittering reliquary, is the holiest of the holy places where only the noblest among our servants are permitted to set foot. Where does this collection of sacred relics come from? Every relic we have here was either arduously tracked down by ancestor captured in a battle against the faithless, or received as a gift for glorious deeds. A show of loyalty to the Emperor that speaks for itself, does it not? Makes no effort to conceal his pride. For our part, we keep the precious relic intact and undisturbed as we conduct liturgies and perform rites. Initiate Ziek is especially diligent in his care for the relics. Though he is of a common stock, he earned his position through dedication and piety. Hello, Kitty. You're the best. That's who you are. I would like to hear Imperial tenets from you. In a voice brimming with solemnity, Albert begins. Every man and woman has the place in the order he created, and his order must be followed, and his will of one superior is obeyed. Beware of witches, for they have been stained by the warp. Persecute mutants, for they are perversion of the human form, and hate the accursed Xenos. The Imperial Creed prescribes being wary of psychics, but the Imperium needs them. I can understand, having been touched by the powers of the warp yourself, you are pondering your own essence, Albert nods sympathetically. You are right, without the astropath we are deaf and blind, and there are many other psychics laboring for the god of humanity. This is their place within the Emperor's design, but only those among them who accept his light and have been authorized. Idira scoffs contemptuously. For one in your life, you could just admit that it doesn't take a tongue calloused from prayers to handle the warp's dangers. The Eccles Tree tell us to persecute mutants, but an exception was made for navigators. The Navis Nobile are different from most humans, but their differences are a blessing. They are noble servants of the Imperium who help humanity expand its galactic domain. Do you not see that a higher purpose that pleases the Emperor? It is a pleasure to hear that unlike the ignorant rabble, you give due acknowledgement to the greatness of our deeds, Confessor. Among the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Emperor is known as the Omniscia. They have their own form of worship. They truly share our beliefs. More certainly, different likeness of the Emperor and ways of worshipping him can be found across the Imperium worlds, but we all believe in the one. Come to think of it, my warrant entitles me to violate the Imperial Creed in many ways. Violate, those are not to be conceived as violations. A rogue trader's privilege comes with a duty to expand the boundary of human influence. If the rogue trader must take responsibility for unorthodox solutions or action in the course of performing the duty, then so be it. You're possibly beaming with joy. just like you is a rare sight. Adalbert signs good naturally. A fair observation, everyone knows that the clergy must remain a stern apprentice appearance to inspire fear and awe in the flock. His mid fades giving way to a pensive gravitas. The truth is that my clan and I experience great hardship. I cannot expand how it is I am standing before you now except by his will. How could one be anything but joyful knowing they were saved by the Emperor? What happened to your clan? I was scarcely more than a child when the malady struck our cabins. First would come the fever, then the unlucky victim would start retching blood. After that they would melt away like a candle. Only the youngest survived, myself among them, he smiles feebly. But now my family is growing, and I'm grateful for each new life that replaces one lost. Still, your gentle manner may adversely affect your flock faith. An accurate observation from the Lord who knows the importance of strong faith on a ship. The gentleness you speak of is skin deep. On the inside, my faith and spirits are pure adamantine. Decades instructing the crew in fighting the dangers of the void and the warp have requested nothing less. My resolve in the face of the monstrous threat we face must always be 100-fold firmer than that of my folk. Lady Theodora come here often. The Processor always had due consent for the reliquary maintenance and its needs, and under her rule, Faith occupied its proper place on the ship. Aber gives a diplomatic smile. People confess to you, do they not? I am interested to know the thought of some of my subjects. Our diseased throne-fearing flocks that regularly leaves Vox recording in the shrine confessional housed in the eastern part of the library. This allows us to maintain constant watch for any heretical tendencies. We can observe the earnesty which our parishioners renders their duties, as well as any danger of dissent brewing in the minds. Nishi Clotus is responsible for sorting the confessions. He would be honored to offer you access to the confessional cogitator. It seems you are more wholesome in imperial religion than parasites on the grox. You forget yourself, Neron Vox. If Argenta Glare could burn, you would be handful of ash by now. Now even the rogue trader is allowed to blaspheme against the holy faith. Albert clutches his chest and exclaims in a fearful voice, "For the sake of your own soul's salvation, this conversation is over." Who is my little kitty? Who is my little kitty?
Ugh, they're staring at me with their burnt eyes like I'm a leper. I'm just passing through, all right? So you lots can calm down.
Your presence has flooded the astropath souls with myriad shades of horror. No, we should not tarry here.
Triumphant as always.
The machine uses its many coils to commit the astropath whispers to paper, then sorts the resulting raw material images based on the meaning.
Embrace true power.
containing process text of the chapel death after resting the paper of the sacred cross.
Intriguing. Ruinous favor
Thank you for the
prevails.
implementation. The company sends to each one of my solo with a list of meanings for the languages. Hieromancer is a Hadivage, a tall old knight in long green robe stands motionless in front of the computator. The closer you approach, the clearer you can hear his continuous, unintelligible whisper. You're about to call his name when he falls silent sharply and turns towards you. First, Lord Captain. A visit from Rock Trader is an honor for us. Like other astropaths in the chapel, the Choir Master eyes are bandaged with time-worn scrolls of sacred manuscripts. Nevertheless, you cannot shake the feeling that his otherworldly glowing gaze is studying you keenly. How can I be of use, your lordship? Sanctioning is a brutal procedure, one which robs every astropath of the gift of sight, but in return they gain a new kind of vision that allows them to see what ordinary people cannot. The light emanating from beneath the bandages flickers with strange hues as the choir master clutches his temple. His expression shifts in a way you are well familiar with. It is the look of the one who has glimpsed the grim side that evil has left upon your soul. Did my knight scourge you? My apologies, your lordship. I sense a strangeness in you, and my mind reached out in your own accord. I did not see much, but what I did was enough. It grieved me to know that this mark weighs upon your soul. Truly, trust me, I am well acquainted with the oppressive burden of doom. Again, who are you? The wrinkled face of this dropping corner of the mouth looked focused, yes, courteous at the same time. My name is Zachary Welsh, your lordship. I am the choir master of the Astropathic Choir. I was posed to this ship soon after my soul's binding ritual on Holy Terra. You might say I have been serving House of Valentius all my life. Have you made a confession lately? The choir master replies slightly perplexed. I beg your lordship pardon. The orphanage is already provided with the bare essential, have they or not? I suppose you have a better idea of that than I do. There is something I have never thought about before and on which I hardly have an opinion worth sharing with the captain. We have some... Why are some destined to perish in a war where others must go on living? How odd, he grimaces as thought of pain. Odd that you should have listened to my confession, and odd that you should choose to approach me afterwards. Why? I was worried that the maker of the confession might be dangerous. Explain yourself. One can never be too prudent. I of all people should know that. Thank you for your vigilance. I must give more thought to what I can do for the living. That is the best way to reply one's debt to the dead, if indeed it's all repayable. Death always keeps close to astropaths. and its punishments for arrogance and weaknesses are severe. I have seen my fellow die, and at times the memories are exceedingly hard to bear. Sadly, almost every choir has a story like that, and a survivor who has carried their ghost with them ever since. Paige lets out a ragged breath. My apologies, but I cannot continue worrying at these old wounds. Directing a choir requires a clear and firm state of mind. How did you like serving under Lady Theodora? I served her for 2 decades and never knew another Lord Captain before your ascension. With her I had been through. The choir master falls silent as though briefly transported in the mind to another place. A shadow of regret creeps onto his face. Many things. Lady Theodora had a good understanding of my significance within the overall mechanism of the ship service. The poorly concealed irritation creeps into the expression of regret on his face, which however did not stop her from neglecting my warnings. I'm confused. How old are you? If my calculations are correct, having factored in our movements through the warp, then I turned 34 a month and a half ago. There is a pause. You can't quite decide if the old man is in front of you is joking, but there is not the slightest hint of a smile on his face. Tell me about your choir. Of course, Lord Captain. Is there something specific you would like to know? What is this place? To us, Astropath, this place is our cradle and our grave, Lord Captain. You are the conflux of every secret missive, every order of prime importance, every scheme being plotted behind the scene. You are the place where each of your loyal Astropath is ready to lay down their life for crumbs of information, if that is your wish. We received and sent messages. For hours turning into days, we wandered the dark depths of the Immaterium, carrying our voice through the warp's eternal night, bringing in our comrades in some remote refuge, accepting the voices, signals, and missive of others into our own abode. But those are the most often meant for you, Loyal Lordship, and at times they are meant for no one. Where is this device? It is a sacred compiler that helps us record, store, and run excellent unriddled messages. The Astropath first receive these messages in the form of model images, dictating what they see to the machine, which logs their word, every word. From the reels of the received of a ceiling, the machine records words are routed through lines under the floor into transcribers, and even the thesaurus score. This score is the most important part of the mechanism, as it contains the vast catalogue of various symbols and the method of the interpretation. The compiler matches the images in the message against the data and forwards the results to the central cogitator and myself so that I can begin the ritual of decoding. I know of no other choir that possesses so wise a mechanism, and I praise the God Emperor for his excellence. However, while the compiler hastens the extraction of intelligence meaning from the perplexing imagery, the Astropath must still open the mind to interpretation, which is no less perilous than the rise of receiving or sending an astropathic messages. The machine knows the meaning of the symbols, but it can't decode the message itself. Regrettably for us all, Your Lordship, astropathic messages are not ciphered dispatches, but other psychic imprints containing information. Only an astropath can read the entirety of something created through medium of the warp. Furthermore, as messages pass through the Immaterium, they might become distorted by the malevolent intent. It falls to our servants alone to shield their minds with faith and separate the true meaning from the influence of the ruinous powers. So if you wanted to hide certain information from me, you could. Phage face twists to a bitter grimace. My duty is to shield you from the monstrous communication that filters through the warp, the screams of the Emperor's loyal servants, centuries dead by now, the nightmarish, maddening images of the Sea of Souls. The cursed symbols that cause astropaths to convulse in violent fits of frenzy. The messages from abominations in search of weak minds to devour. Concealing all of that form view is my duty. And how one's become astropath? Beige gives you a polite smile. I would assume that you know the answer already, your lordship. You have walked a similar road yourself, even though you took a different turn than I. We were all apart from the Imperial Tide once, psychers delivered to Terra by the Black Ships, but only a few of the candidates had what it took to study at astropathy. Fewer still successfully completed the grueling training to be eligible for soul binding, and almost none survived the initiation. He throws his head back. We were given the privilege to behold the Emperor's light, a light flawless and searching. Ampagi's smile visits his lips. That's changed you. It would you irreparably. It takes you eyesight, but in exchange you commune with greatness. His presence is your soul, fortifies them as we stand against malicious powers. After the ritual, the astropath is assigned for position at this or that adeptus, an astropathic relay or a ship. More often than not, our first place of service is also our last. If something happened to your choir, where can I find your astropath? The expression on his wrinkled face grows even more serious. It would be more on point to say when something happens. The Emperor's blessing protects us from the warp's various influences. However, there are horrors dwelling in the void for which even the defense would be no obstacle. Essentially, if one spends as much time with the company as we do, there is only one way to procure astropath, and that is through the Adaptus Administratorium. Luck permitting uncharted astropath form, the sector will be posted to the ship. One who, for whatever reason, have lost their place for self-service. Failing that, the request will go to Terra and we will have to wait a long time. That said, there are other options. Blasphemous forbidden options. The choir master grimaces. Unsuctioned psychics are protected, and broken souls who seldom live past the first few senses. But even those would do should the God Emperor put our souls through severe trials. And judging by how rapid the warps has been of late, by the number of the dead astropath, those trials will be upon us sooner than our prayer could reach Terra. I know a couple of places where you can get new astropath with your agreements maliciously. This, of course, is them being all classy and proper like the Third Eyes bunch. There's always noises and travelers that don't bother you. On the contrary, Lord Captain, is metal focusing technique used by your flagship choir, and one that is invented myself. This music was written by an astropath. What my charges and I hear is not what ordinary people hear. Its true depths of beauty cannot be fathomed without the Emperor's blessing. The music protects our minds from rudimentary thoughts, purifies and sharpens them, but above all else, it serves as a beacon of sword or amient, the tumulus sea of souls, a thread to lead us home from dead maze. We'll speak later.